Chevre, hello. How are you? I hope everyone is gesund, stark und freilich, begashmis und beruchnis. I hope everyone is healthy, strong and happy physically and spiritually. Today is Erev Shabbos Kodesh Pasha Shemos Chov Dalit Tevis, the Yom Ha'ilula Yortzeit of the Alter Rebbe. So we're going to speak a thought for the week and try to make all the connections and the lessons that we can learn out. But first, we'll start with a pasuk from the Rebbe's new kapitel, pasuk Vov of kapitel Kuf Yutes. Oz loy evoish ba'abiti el kol mitzvaysecha. Then I will not be ashamed when I gaze upon all your commandments. So, literally, it means that only when a person has investigated and learned all of Hashem's commandments, then he could say, he doesn't have to be ashamed. But maybe you can learn another interpretation, another meaning. And that is not only speaking quantitatively, but qualitatively. Ozlo Yevash. When could a person say that he doesn't have to be ashamed? Ba'abiti el kol mitzvaysecha. When he investigates the totality of every single mitzvah. In other words, all the layers of the meanings as much as possible. As we know that in Torah there's many different levels and layers of meaning, pshat, remez, drush, soid. So when a person tries to study the mitzvah thoroughly, on every single level, then ozloi evish. And this brings us to Chav Dalet Tevis. Chav Dalet Tevis is the Yom Ha'ilula of the Alter Rebbe, the first Chabad Rebbe, who revealed a new level of Torah, Toras Chassidus Chabad, the Torah of Chassidus Chabad. Every one of us today has to say, Ashreinu matov chalkeinu umanoim geiraleinu mayofa yerushaseinu. We have to give a special thank you to Hashem for allowing the soul of the Alter Rebbe to come down in this world and to be a guide and a teacher for all of the generations that followed. And he showed us the way and he showed us the light. The life and the light was given to us through the Alter Rebbe. And this is what I'd like to demonstrate today in a very minuscule way, according to our level of understanding. How the Alter Rebbe, by revealing Chabad, which is an acronym of Chochmah Bina Das, he gave us the ability to connect, relate, and unite with Hashem on a deeper level. We all became, through the Alter Rebbe, more intimately connected to Hashem. So, in this week's Parsha, which is Parsha Shemos, we start a new Chumash, the Chumash Shemos, which one of the central themes of the Chumash Shemos is obviously the Exodus from Egypt. And we spoke already once about this, the different shlichus of Avram Avinu in the world and Moshe Rabbeinu. But just to recap, we'll start with the pasuk in the Parsha where it says that Moshe Rabbeinu came to Paroi and he said, Shalach es Ami, send out my people. And he started by telling first, Koyamar Hashem. This is what Hashem said, the God of Israel. In the next pasuk, it says, Vayeme Parei mi Hashem. Parei says, who is Hashem? Asher eshma b'koiloi, that I should listen to his voice. So in other words, what is the level of Parei? The level of Parei is he doesn't know about Shem Havayeh, the higher name of Hashem. And so too, in the beginning of Parshas Va'era, in general, it says that the world, he says, Va'era el Oves, Hashem says, I revealed myself to the Oves, but Shmi Havayeh lo nedaiti lehem. The name Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, that name he didn't reveal to the world, even though it does say Yud-Kei Vav-Kei in the Chumash before, but it wasn't that name fully revealed. That name, that level wasn't fully revealed into the world. And then also later on in the Parsha Va'era, when it speaks about Hashem saying why he is going to cause this whole idea of the Exodus and everything, so he says that as a soisai vesmoifsai, in order to enlarge, to make greater the miracles. So the miracles higher than nature, the supernatural, that is what's connected to the Shem Havaya. And he also says over there, V'yodu Mitzrayim, so that Mitzrayim should know, Ki ani Havaya, so that Mitzrayim should know that I am Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. So what's the difference? What is the difference between the name Yud-Kei Vav-Kei and all the other names of Hashem? So in Chassidus it talks about it, and in Kabbalah it's called Shema Etzem, Shema Mefoirish, and Shema Meyuchad. The explicit name, the name of the essence, and the name which is united. What is the difference? We're going to have to speak briefly, but this is also known to those who studied the works, and the Maral brings this down also, that the name Havya means Havya Pshuta. In other words, there's a level of God as God is in relation to himself, and there's a level of God as God is in relation to what is the world. In other words, there's God as God is, and there's God's activities. There's two separate things. All the other names are talking about Hashem in relation to the way he is doing something. If we say he's a conductor, he's a director, he's a manager, he's a king, he's a master, he's a boss, that's all talking about how God is in relation to the world. And he's one of those roles. But what about the Eibishter Hashem in relation to himself? Not God as he's doing activities, but God as God is. And this is the meaning of the name Yud-Kei Vav-Kei Havya Pshuta, an existence. In other words, anything you can add to the word that he exists, that level, to say that we can relate to it and we understand it, then it's not Shem Havaya. Anything that you can understand is a lower level. In other words, as we say, Wasser der Abteich von Shem Havaya, asa hat nicht kein Abteich. What's the definition of Shem Havaya? That it has no definition. That is the definition. And this was the accomplishment of the exodus of Yetzias Mitzrayim, that level, which is not God as Mother Nature, not God as is connected to any laws and rules of nature, but the true infinity of Hashem becomes revealed through the story of Yetzias Mitzrayim, and as he takes the Yidden out of Mitzrayim, and then there's Matan Torah, and then there's the Jewish connection, the Yidden's connection to this level. Hashem in all of his infinity. Now, so we're talking about, in other words, the essence of Hashem. So this is a deeper level, a deeper dimension, that when you learn Chassidus, you begin to appreciate a bit what's going on over here. In the story, the end of Chumash Bereshis, and the story of the Avos, and now we're entering a deeper dimension, the dimension of the Jews as a nation, and the Gili of Shem Havaya, and Atzmos Hashem as he is in relation to himself. Now, let's connect this also to Chodesh Tevis, and to show again how Chassidus sheds light, as we spoke 2 weeks ago about reframing, but to see it in a whole new way, which without Chassidus, we'd be left in the darkness, and there's no way a person would ever come to these conclusions, and these insights, and these treasures. So the Gemara says about the month of Tevis, that the Gemara Megillah says that, where do we see the month of Tevis? That Esther, Queen Esther, was brought to Achashverosh in the month of Tevis, and that's part of the miracle of Purim, which in the miracle of Purim we see divine providence every single step of the way. I'm not going to elaborate in that right now. So one of the aspects of the miracle is that when it was Esther's turn to make herself appealing and attractive to Achashverosh, and that was part of Hashem's plan so that Esther should become the queen, Esther's turn came out in the month of Tevis, Yerach Shaguf Nenem Min Aguf, a month that the body derives pleasure from the body, because it's the coldest month of the year. So therefore, this would add another aspect to Esther's attractiveness, because she would be brought to him in this month when it's very cold outside, and the body derives pleasure from the body. So therefore, this would make her more appealing for Achashverosh, and Achashverosh would choose her as the queen. So here we have the simple definition of shaguf nenem and aguf, talking about body heat, and that one body derives pleasure from another body. So it's seemingly like from the lowest things we could be discussing. You understand? In you would think. Comes along Chassidus and explains that what does shaguf nenem and aguf mean? Based on the medrash that says that Achashverosh could refer to Hashem, and Queen Esther refers to the Yidden. And in general, what does it mean, shaguf nenem and aguf? The essence of God. The word guf could also refer to the essence of the matter. Like we say gufei Torah, substance of Torah, or gufa means the matter itself. So what does it mean, tevis? What's the idea of tevis? The idea of tevis, shaguf nenem and aguf, that the guf, the essence itself, God himself in the highest level, not in his revelations, not in his rays, but the essence of God himself, nenem and aguf, takes pleasure from the physical body of a Jew. God derives the most pleasure. Nachas ruach lefanei she'amarta v'naseh ritzoini. The greatest pleasure that God himself has in his essence is when a Jew does a mitzvah, and when a Jew is acting properly in this physical world with his physical body. So just imagine the transformation. A Jew, a Yid was lent a blad Gemara without Chassidus, and he just knows of this concept, guf nenem and aguf. He has a picture of Achashverosh and Esther, guf nenem and aguf. A Yid was lent Chassidus, and he's thinking about Atzmus Mahus, the highest level of Hashem himself. Nenem and aguf has a geschmack and a tainug in the body of a Yid in this physical world. How the highest of the high, Hashem's essence, is connected to seemingly the lowest of the low, a physical body on this planet Earth. God himself is more related, more intimately involved, gets more pleasure from the physical body of a Jew on this planet than in all the celestial levels of all the highest levels of all of the order of descent of all the spiritual worlds. And this is what the Alter Rebbe taught us. And this is the chidush of Chassidus Chabad. And this is what we have to appreciate. Take the Chassidus challenge. Start learning Chassidus today. There's no time to waste. You don't understand how all of a sudden you'll see the light and you'll appreciate everything in Yiddishkeit on a totally different level. The Rebbe writes in Kuntas and Yonah Shel Teiras Chassidus, one of the most famous talks and discourses of the Rebbe. And I'm just going to tell you what he writes here. Teiras Chassidus Chitsha. Chassidus innovated Asher kol echad v'echad, that every single person, gam mi she'ein le neshama gavoya, even someone who does not have a lofty soul, like he's not born to be a tzaddik, v'gam le zichech es atzmoi, even if you did not refine yourself, you didn't fast, you're not working on yourself to become better, but still, yuchel lahasig elakus, you can understand godliness. Because through this, that the Teiras Chassidus explained matters of the esoteric part of Torah, the Soid, it's called the secret part of Torah. And it brought it closer to our intellect. With examples and analogies from the makeup of a soul. From my flesh I perceive godliness. So through that, it was given the possibility for every single person to understand even this part of Torah. So Ashreinu, Matev Chalkeinu, Manoim Geraleinu. The Alter Rebbe gave us the key, gave us access for us to appreciate Hashem and study about Hashem, and that it should hit the spot and connect to us in a level that never happened before. And there's a saying from Rebbe Hillel Paracher, who is one of the great disciples of the Alter Rebbe and the Mittel Rebbe and the Tzemach Tzedek. And this is what he said. I'm going to read to you his words in Yiddish. Eider, sagt Rebbe Hillel, Ich bin geworden a Chabad Chosid. Before I became a Chabad Chosid, is bei mir gewesen der Guf a Dova Mos. My body was a disgusting thing, reprehensible, abominable. Warum alle ruchnische Tzoros nehmen sich mein Guf? Because all of my spiritual problems came from my body. Als ich der Herr die Neshama von dem Wort, mit B'sarai Erzeleka, but once I perceived, and I became aware of the soul of this concept of from my flesh, I perceive godliness. Der Guf is a spectacle, that the body becomes spectacles, a spectacle, like glasses. Was durch ihm Zetmen Göttlichkeit, which through my body I could see godliness. Hat der Guf bei mir gekrogen ach Shivas, and then my body had a whole new worthiness to it. So this is one of the great innovations of Chassidus Chabad, emphasizing the idea that everything should be seen as a reflection of godliness. Whatever's happening in your life, whatever you see in the world, including the body is a mirror of spiritual levels. And the person has to train himself, and through much studying of Chassidus Chabad, he comes to live his life in such a way that whatever he sees, whatever he observes, he sees as a reflection of Hashem. And Chassidus Chabad also has another famous line, Yesh Amiti, Yesh Anivre, Yesh Anivre, Yesh Amiti. That the true existence of God, the highest level, his essence, is connected to the created being, the physical. So, without elaborating on that, because that's a whole nother talk, about how God is specifically connected to the physical body of a Jew, more and deeper and greater and higher than with anything else in all of existence and all of the levels. So, the Rebbe should help. Today is Chavdal Tevis, the Yom Elul of the Alter Rebbe, the Schus from the Baal Yom Elul. So, Peils an Yeshua's Bekerev Haaretz. Adi Aliden was davon geholfen werden, in was für Indien sollen sein, sollen geholfen werden, take from Yad Mamish. The Alter Rebbe's level, who today is Yom Elul, so he brings blessings and mazel tov to everyone. So every single Jew, whoever he is, who needs to be helped in any way whatsoever, should be helped in this chus of the Alter Rebbe immediately. And just as the Alter Rebbe wanted to accomplish, that each and every single one of us, he made it easier for us to become closer and more intimate with Hashem, that Hashem becomes our primary, supreme reality. And this is what is the connection between everything. Shemos, Ozle Evish Babiti El Kol Mitzvah, and the Alter Rebbe is that we have a deeper intimacy with Hashem, connected to the knowledge, with our minds, and we look at everything differently, and we try to understand as much as possible. And this will bring us to the age and the time of Umola Oretz Deus Hashem, like it says when Mashiach will come, the knowledge of Hashem will fill the earth. Begula Mitzvah Shlema, take it from Yad Mamish. Posting from my home, Be'ez Hashem Yisbarach, your man in Melbourne.